I've been stuck on the ground now for a day and a half due to high winds, so I was itching to get back in the air and make some progress on my journey along the Missouri River. I woke up at 4 in the morning and checked the weather first thing. Thankfully, the wind was going to be just barely flyable, but I'd be racing an approaching thunderstorm to get off the ground, so I ate a quick breakfast and set up to launch.
Alright guys, we're here. This is going to be a sketch launch. Winds, you can look at that dark cloud in there and see what I'm trying to get away from. But winds are 9 gusting 14 knots, which I'm going to have to convert. I'll put it on the screen and try to get off the ground here. It'll only be my second reverse of the trip. If I can get off the ground, I should have a great tailwind that might even get me to Glasgow. But I gotta get off the ground. Priority numero uno. If it doesn't gust, it should be a nice chill reverse, but these gusts have been pretty consistent and are only gonna get worse as that storm gets closer. So I really wanna get out of here quickly. The windsock actually looks pretty dead right now. What happened? Yeah, the windsock just died. Call me crazy. I'm gonna make this a forward launch now. It was just gusting to like 14. That is strange. Our wind truly just died. Well, that's a little unexpected. Okay. Oh, I say, as it picks up, yeah, I'm just going to commit to the forward here. That seems to be the most consistent. Oh my gosh! Woo! We are dancing with these gusts right now. Let's say goodbye to the town of Hazen. Spent a lot of time here. There is the Sassy Sasquatch, where I've eaten too many times. What appears to be otherwise just like a railroad town. Make a good time here at 50 miles per hour. That should get me to Fort Peck, or Glasgow is the bigger city nearby. That's what I'm trying to make, and I'm going to need this kind of tailwind to do it. It sure would be nice to get out of these gusts, though. Damn. That last second bait and switch to a forward was unexpected. And what happened there was, when I initially pulled up, there's a decent wind. That wind immediately died, caused it to half frontal, then came back. After I saw half the wing collapse, I killed the engine to try to keep it from chopping my lines. But when the wind came back, that half the wing reinflated, was stable, and so I had to re-crank while still running and then commit to the power. Spicy. Very spicy. Well, I'm not excited about fighting these conditions and active piloting the whole way. At least it's low flying. Oh wow, 55 miles an hour. That's a 20-mile-an-hour wind, or more than, like 25, and I'm only 500 feet off the ground. As I'm looking this way, I can't tell if that's fog or rain. Either way, I want to avoid it. This train here going into this massive industrial complex, whatever this is. So I'm dealing with a lot of what I'm assuming is mechanical turbulence, that or weather-induced. Both of which hopefully will be better with a little climb. So I'm going to go up to 3,000 feet, get a little more than 500 feet of terrain clearance here, and hopefully it'll be a little smoother. Alrighty, there's the Missouri River where it meets the reservoir that is one of the worst places for PPG I've ever seen. And I'm going to be deviating from it a little bit to have a more direct line to my destination that with this tailwind shouldn't be a problem for me to make. But I'll have to check weather after I'm able to get gas. Which is going to be a question there, actually, because the airfield doesn't have gas. But it might have a crew car that can take the bladders over to get gas at a gas station that's right next door. If not, I suppose I could walk, but that's just time spent that I really don't want to if I can avoid it. So one thing about North Dakota is that there's a lot of oil fracking. You can actually see some of these oil pumps even this far south. The more north you go, though, the more oil there is. Pretty big industry in this state. As I'm going along, the terrain here is climbing with me. This river basin is really beautiful. It's kind of dried up over here, left a lot of greenery, beautiful mountains. All these orange lights you see on the horizon, those are fires from the oil fracking. Apparently when they're pumping it, it's a lot of off-gassing of, I guess, natural gases from underground. And they just burn them off because the byproducts of burning it are less pollution than just letting the gases themselves into the atmosphere. You know, my stress to make progress, I really should be focusing a lot more on just enjoying the experience, because holy cow, this is so gorgeous. Oh, there are roads over there. Great, some civilization, or at least access to it. Gives me a lot of confidence if my engine died, I have a reliable out to go to. Rescue wouldn't be too far from reach. So here's a good view of one of those oil fracking fields. You can see the smokestack where they're doing the burn off. Also, just looking on the horizon, you can tell, just get an eye for the conditions and tell this is not a normal good day for PPG. Woo! I have been fighting for 80% of this flight. Ugh. I don't know if those are cows. Oh, they are. They're cows just playing in the river down there. That's cool. I didn't realize people were farming down here. It's also possible they're buffalo. Really, really pretty. But I wish I could climb higher. Unfortunately, the cloud base is a pretty significant restriction for me right now. So I'm having to stay down here in a lot of the mechanical turbulence. I'd love for some sunlight to poke through. I'm getting pretty chilled, and I've still got 3 hours left. Wow, these mountains, though. If I take a moment to, or think about the fact that I'm flying over such beautiful terrain rather than just fighting for my life, this really is gorgeous. To think that the river was this high at some point, that is crazy. It's just eroded down into what we see here. Some pretty serious turbulence over here. Honestly, I think this is just gust front related from the unstable air. I've got a lot of rough terrain here, but based off the wind direction coming from my back, that should not be causing this. My best guess is just prevailing high wind conditions and stark terrain just makes for unstable air, and I am just incapable of climbing over it, so I'm just going to battle through it here. Cloud base has lifted a little bit, so I've been able to climb another 100 feet. Not much, but every little bit helps. Alright, the terrain becomes a lot less exciting here in a little bit. Once it flattens out, hopefully the air will still a little bit. Just gotta get a little further. Oh, there's guys down there working on it. Back into the flatlands. Not quite as beautiful to look at, even though these grassy plains, actually, I really do like and appreciate. But it is a lot more comforting for landing outs. And then just access for people to be able to come get me if something happened. That's something I'm keeping on my mind all the time here, is that if my engine dies, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? And what's my escape plan? I always want to have a recovery plan. And it's not always possible in every place you're going to be on an adventure like this. But you can plan deliberately to ensure you maximize your ability to be recovered in the event the worst happens. So staying at least within eye shot of a road or a trail is generally just a great idea. And then making sure you have a flat spot to land everywhere you go within gliding distance. Oil comes here, and then you have an oil processing facility and storage. And I'm just assuming they ship it off from here. Pretty large complex. And then there's a main highway right here. Big four-laner to be able to ship that stuff off if it's not going out by train. I think that's my gap. Okay, come on now. My fingers are not strong enough to release the trim. Oh, okay. All right, there we go. All right, guys, so a bit of a pickle I'm in here. Trying to avoid getting wet. That rain just popped up out of nowhere, and that rain is what I'm trying to avoid also, so I'm trying to split the gap right here between them and trying to avoid getting wet. Wetter than I already am, but everything's already pretty moist. I think I can just dodge it, but it's not going to be fun. It's hard to tell what's rain and what's haze. It's just misty. But I'm fully trimmed out right now in an effort to keep my wing dry and inflated. I'm hoping that all of this is just mist and none of this turns into actual rain. Considering how light the sky is, I think that's probably what it is. In which case I can still fly through it, but man, this is not fun. I'll tell you that. I would like to make it to this Sidney airport, and I can reassess from there if it makes sense to keep going. But that's 25 minutes from now. Oh, I may have to stop before Sidney. This is very wet. It's not raining. It's just misting. Okay, now this is impassable. I can't do it. I can't go into that. It's too much. I have to land here. I'm just gonna do that. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay. All right, well, that was an unexpected stop. We'll see if we can dry off. And wait this out. But I'm not going anywhere like this. Yeah. Wing is soaking wet.
The place I had landed was the Horse Creek School just west of Sidney, North Dakota, which interestingly is an operational, historic one-room elementary school. No one was here at the time, so I took shelter as best I could to wait out the rain. All right, well, we're in a rough spot right now. Couldn't quite make it to the airfield because it started raining on me. So landed out. Wing is very wet, as am I right now. I'm gonna try to wait for this rain to pass, and then hopefully with a super wet wing, we can take off again and get out of here. That's gonna be a tough launch. All right, well, here's the situation. We waited on the ground for about 45 minutes. The rain has passed. I got 10 more miles to get to my first real potential stop at Perry, which should easily be made. I could probably go further, but this is gonna be a hell of a launch. I've got a soaking wet wing, but
I do have a good breeze. We're just gonna hook it using this breeze for a nice forward launch and try to get out of here before any more weather rolls in. This soaking wet wing does not give me a lot of confidence.
My GoPro died here, but the wing launched perfectly fine despite how wet it was, and I had a short, uneventful flight 10 miles west to Sidney, North Dakota, where I landed and quickly topped off my gas.
Not only did I get stuck by weather, my GoPro battery died when I took off out of the school. I had a riser twist, bad on me for not catching it because I was speeding, trying to get off the ground before weather hit again. So, rather than continuing on and scratching by on gas with a dead GoPro battery, I decided to land, get a little more gas, put a fresh GoPro battery in, untwist my risers, and then try to make it. So we're going to have to be in sprint mode here because I have tons of gas now. All right. So let's try this again, but better this time. Weather here, it's on the line between a reverse and a forward. I tend to like a forward if I can huck it, but this might be a reverse. We'll see. Got ants all over my stuff out here. Okay. Yeah, it should be a reverse. Pretty easy one. Let's do it again. All right, zip, 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 zip. Yep, good. I'm not going to change the battery. Deliberate choice. It should easily last the rest of the way here. Put my chest strap on this time, dummy. This might be my fastest gas stop yet, but again, I'm trying to beat weather. Hopefully the wing is dried out enough now. I honestly really do not like reverses with all this extra kit. Let's see about getting out of here. All right. Nice and easy. Okay, we are out. Real quick gas stop. Another great view of the oil fields and burning the off gases, as well as some really pretty terrain out here. These little peaks are pretty cool. The overcast sky is finally breaking, if but for a moment. Still pretty turbulent, and I imagine it will be for the next 40 miles. But once I'm out of these gusts, life hopefully will be pretty good. Something that's really pretty. All these like winding creeks and cutouts. through these open fields. You see, this just snakes its way. But I see sunlight on the horizon, which is promising and brings me some hope. Lots of cows. This would be a very happy place to be a cow. So much open space, so much green pasture. Guess there's a reason the bison roam around here. Oh, we might finally be getting out of this smog. It's interesting weather because it just like sticks to you. Oh, something got destroyed in the wind in the last few days. Parts of it scattered all out here. Wow, North Dakota is a really pretty state. Or actually, we're in Montana now. Montana is a really pretty state. Not too far that way is Canada. Look at this sunlight, wow. That's so nice after all the gray that I've been in. Beautiful. Interesting sight. You got this guy working on his field down here. And you got this guy on his pickup truck that I'm in a race with right now. And I think I'm gaining on him. I got a ground speed of 52 miles an hour, so if he's faster than that, he is cooking it on a dirt road like this. Gives me a really good indication of the wind speed. And I think I'm finally out of the deadly corridor here. Less tailwinds, but it gives me a lot more opportunity to actually fly. So ideally we'll have fewer down days outside of tomorrow where we just know it's going to be bad no matter what. Fingers crossed. Praying for the best outcome here. Still pretty moderately turbulent though. Oh yeah, I'm definitely gaining on it. You can see the Missouri over here, and it's going to join this massive lake, Fort Peck Lake, and I'll be landing at Fort Peck Field. You can tell all the erosion that's come off from this lake when it fills and drains. It's made for some pretty stark landscape out here. It's really pretty. All right, here we are now, back over the Missouri River. We have rejoined it. Like, these are trees that we definitely don't have anywhere near Omaha. I'm not sure what these are. Something resilient to the winter. Check out these little sandbars with these little cutouts of the river. And the river, oh gosh, so clear. You can see all the way to the bottom of it easily. But these little cutouts are so interesting. It's just flat grass, like plains, right on the river. Imagine taking like some fishing gear and doing some fly camping out on one of these. How cool would that be? Put that one on the bucket list. This dam and the one I just flew by earlier, interestingly enough, they control the flow of the entire Missouri River in this one spot. That other dam was just an overflow, but this one actually is a metering station. Massive concrete pump houses. And it's levied to greet, I guess, Fort Peck Lake. And the Missouri River flows from there, through there, and back where we just came from, all the way to Louisiana. It's amazing how shallow the river is, even considering the sheer amount of water that comes through it. Look at this levee. Holy cow. It is enormous. I don't know if you can see that car driving there. For a sense of scale on this thing, but wow. Fort Peck Field. Let's figure out which way the wind is blowing. Let's see if they have a windsock first. That'd be the first thing I'd want to do. There's what I'm assuming is their FBO. Oh, they do have a windsock. Perfect. Takes all the guesswork out of it. I don't know if that's an FBO or it's just someone's hangar. That looks like it's just somebody's hangar. But I guess it's this really nice place over here. Come on down. We've done it. Okay, let's go see if this is actually an FBO or not.
It turns out this airfield has no FBO after all, since it's essentially just a neighborhood with a runway attached to it. Two of the local pilots, Shane and Tim, heard me land though and came out to chat and extend their kindness by giving me a ride to the local gas station, along with their dog Odin. While I refueled and did all my post-flight work, Tim was kind enough to let me hang out at his place, which had one of the sickest man caves, with more toys and trophies than I had ever seen in one place. By this point, I was surrounded by thunderstorms, and considering the devolving weather I had experienced on the way in, I was expecting to stay in town overnight and for the next few days as a low-pressure system rolled through. But when I studied the weather more closely, I saw I had a small window of opportunity to go west while staying just north of the storms if I could leave immediately. So I quickly laid out my wing and got my gear together to fly again.
Bit of a game time decision here. I'm going to try to press north and east and make it to Havre, Montana, just to make as much westward progress as possible. We'll see how it goes. Gonna huck another reverse here. All right. Alrighty. Right, Tim. Well, I gotta say that launch was one of the more effortless ones I've done. That was smooth. Let's hope the rest of the flight goes equally as well. All right, so the game time decision to go this way was due to there's strong westerly winds that dominate this region. And as of right now, they're easterly, which helps me. And I'm not going to throw away the performance that I have in my hand for a chance at some performance later by going south. So I'm going to chase this wind as far as it'll take me. Say goodbye to Fort Peck Lake. I thought I was going to overfly you, but I guess I'm not. All right, we are progressing along. A lot of very empty landscape out here. And I have been fighting thermals hard so far on this whole ride. Woo. Man, the flying today has not been fun. That final stretch up the Missouri was really nice, but pretty much everything else today has been just getting slogged. But making progress. When I was at the hangar at the last stop, my buddy Tim was telling me about how Lewis and Clark came up here and just walked the entire thing. What an incredible journey that had to be. Just blazing across these literal trails. What I saw back there may not have been cows because I don't see any infrastructure to support them. I think it might have actually been a herd of buffalo. As long as these flights seem, I just gotta think, no matter what, I'm making progress. Even if it isn't fun, we're moving the ball forward, 1 yard at a time here. It's actually surprising just how many little bodies of water there are around here. They just dot this whole landscape. All right, so I'm looking at these cloud shadows, and I can see they're moving right to left in a very slight quartering tail, which isn't really going to help me much. There's more cross than it is tail. However, that wind hasn't made it down to this point yet, because I've still got a pretty good tailwind right now at 4,300. Pelicans? That's really cool. Formation flight. Something going north for the summer. You got Broski down here on his ATV wrangling cattle. That's pretty cool. And doing that on an ATV is a pretty cool way to do it. Instead of having to get on horseback, getting them in the pit. That's what's happening. Oh, there's another one of the birds that was migrating. This guy's just cruising. Alright, here we are now passing by the actual town of Malta. Little town, but the airport is actually really nice. Look at that. It's got captain's bars, freshly paved. It's really nice. Man, it looks like a nice little town. One thing I definitely don't see is oh, no, there's a truck there. It might be their courtesy car. I doubt it. Yeah, I don't think they have a courtesy car. I don't know if those are wild or not, but those are a lot of stallions and horses. Wow, that's a ton of horses. So cool. So this is pretty cool. The railroad diverges from the main road here, and the railroad actually goes along this big floodplain. This would be a pretty place to take a train through, too. Imagine being on like a Harry Potter-esque train rolling right along these tracks. Alright guys, so situation report. We're about 35 miles. We have tons of gas, but between me and my destination, these rain clouds are building up and they're actually producing some precipitation. However, they are moving west, same direction I'm going, at about 25 miles an hour. I'm moving 40, so I'm getting them at 15 miles an hour. So I don't think I'm going to hit them. And the precipitation, though I can see just a little bit coming off of them, it doesn't look heavy. So I think I should be all right. But I definitely don't want to be up in these conditions any longer, because one of those cells could easily build right on top of me. The engine's actually running. I can see steam or just smoke coming out of it. So I wonder what they're actually doing with it. This whole thing just slowly rolls around the crop circle and sprays water evenly across it. Pretty smart design, actually. Well, guys, I gotta say, this headwind phenomenon really sucks. For the last hour, I've been 45 minutes away from my destination. It's like the headwind is increasing as the miles decrease. So that no matter what, I just stay 45 minutes from where I'm trying to go. Thankfully, I have a ton of gas, so I can deal with this for a while. But my gosh, not only is it not fun to fly in, the weather is deteriorating, and I really don't want to stay in these conditions any longer than I absolutely have to. Well, guys, we made it to the small town of Chinook, Montana. It has been a slobber knocker getting here. My gosh. The last 30 miles I've been fighting a 15-mile-an-hour headwind. But we finally got here. Thankfully, we still had plenty of gas. If I had much less than this, I really would have been starting to worry when those headwinds hit. That really puts a damper on your progress quick. It's looking like I'm going to be stuck here for 2 or 3 days, so I'm hoping this town has at least somewhere nice to eat, because I am starving. I've had nothing but a Cliff Bar and a protein bar all day long. And I've been working hard. It's been active piloting the entire day. Definitely my toughest paramotor day ever. Those mountains are gorgeous off in the distance. It won't be too much longer until I'm in them myself. That is an exciting prospect. Sweet. That flag looks pretty pegged. No air traffic. Looks good. All right. Let's bring her in for a landing here. I'll put it in the grass for sure. All right, come on down.
After a very long day of flying, I was finally settled down in the small town of Chinook, Montana, only 25 miles from the Canadian border. I was extremely happy to finally be on the ground for good. The rain wasn't going to let me progress any further today, so I walked my things over to the FBO, where I met the airport manager, Edgar. He was kind enough to let me stash my motor in the snowmobile hangar while I was in town, as well as give me a ride to the local motel, the Chinook Inn and Restaurant, where I had a much-needed hot meal, a warm shower, and went to bed early in the evening to sleep off the day. The weather's going to keep me here for a few days before I can finally make it to the mountains. I'll cover that and those next incredible flights in the next episode. Thanks for watching and sticking through to the end.